5 of Efrat's family members were taken hostage. Efrat's uncle turned 80 years old in captivity in the tunnels of Gaza. On May the 5th, 2024, in churches across America, Eagles Wings partnered with the Moral Hearts Alliance in what we called Solidarity Sunday. Solidarity Sunday brought over survivors of the October 7th massacre so that we could bear witness to the atrocities that were committed by Hamas against innocent Israeli civilians on October the 7th. Interestingly, providentially, May the 5th coincided with Holocaust Remembrance Day. The nations of the earth for 75 years have been putting out the slogan, never again. But certainly never again is now. We see an alarming rise of anti-Semitism that we have not seen since the days of Hitler's rise to power. I want to invite you to hear the testimony of these survivors of the October 7th massacre on Solidarity Sunday as we bear witness and we commit ourselves not only to the slogan of never again, but to living lifestyles as watchmen on the wall to commit to the safety of the Jewish people and of the state of Israel. Efrat Machikawa was an Israeli cultural affair to Japan, served as a diplomat in the nation of Japan. Efrat was raised in Israel, married a Japanese businessman, and raised her children in Japan. The family then returned to Israel, and all 3 of their children served in the Israeli army, the IDF. On October the 7th, 5 of Efrat's family members were taken hostage. After almost 2 months in captivity, 4 of them were returned. As of the date of this recording, Efrat's uncle is still hostage in Gaza. Today is day 214 of the hostages being held. Efrat's uncle turned 80 years old in captivity in the tunnels of Gaza. One of Efrat's relatives, not one who was kidnapped, but another relative, was murdered by Hamas on that day. Efrat served in the government and is one of the officials who watched the videos, saw the photos, and can bear testimony to not only the physical violence that was perpetrated by Hamas, but the sadistic sexual violence that was perpetrated against both women and men by Hamas. During October the 7th, Efrat was on the phone with her aunt when her 5 relatives were taken hostage from the kibbutz. Hear now with me the words of Efrat as we bear witness to the horrors of October the 7th.
We gathered here tonight on the eve of the Holocaust Day. Indeed, a sacred day. Being here is a true privilege. 212 days passed since October 7th, the worst attack on Jewish people and Israel since World War II. 212 days. That means 5,088 hours. That also means 305,280 minutes. But it also means 18,316,800 seconds of terror, of torture, of pain. Mainly to our 133 brothers and sisters, mothers and grandfathers still held hostage in Gaza. But it also, those seconds also hurt and torture us, the families, our friends, our hero soldiers who are taking care of us in Gaza, and as I witness, our friends overseas. What changed the beautiful view of my community, the community my parents created and were the pioneers of Nir Oz? I don't live there today, but my family, my great family is, and my heart is there. So what happened? What happened to this beautiful village, kibbutz, is what we're going to see in the next video. The beautiful, serene community was burnt down. The cameras reveal that not only men terrorists did attack Nir Oz, where 1 of 4 people was either murdered or abducted to Gaza. They crossed the border, which is only 5 minutes by car, and women, children, youngsters, and old people came and took everything they could. They were disrespecting bodies and did so many terrible things I prefer not to describe from this stage tonight. This is what's left of this peaceful, beautiful community of Nir Oz. Now, the first thing they did was the next picture. This. This is the station of the ambulances in Kibbutz Nir Oz. So what did they choose to do? To come and burn the ambulances. Do you understand what the meaning is? They knew, they planned, they did it on purpose. No one could be saved in Nir Oz. And they continued, and they burnt, and they racked, and they robbed, and they killed, and they tortured and killed. And I want to introduce to you to one dear man, a member of Nir Oz community. His name is Amitai. Amitai got sick, paralyzed. So fortunately, a very nice guy named Jimmy, a Catholic by the way, from the Philippines, came to be his helper. And when the terrorists raided and came into their house, they found Amitai standing, and behind him somebody lying, covered with blankets. They lifted the blankets, and they found Amitai paralyzed in his bed, terrified. So what did they do? They ordered Jimmy to put him in his wheelchair, and they wanted to kidnap them. Jimmy refused. So they told them, so you leave him and you come with us. And he still refused. You know what they did? They took guns and they shot Amitai in front of Jimmy and told him, now you can. Jimmy was kidnapped and was one of the last hostages that was released. So we learned the true story of what happened there. That was Amitai. May he rest in peace. The next, I forgot something very important to tell you what happened. After shooting them, before they took Jimmy, who refused to go, they put a bomb into the house, a special, it looks like a spaceship. It's a very, very innovative, cruel weapon that actually sucks the oxygen in the room, and then everything blows up. So that's what they did. They sucked the oxygen. Jimmy had to go out. They kidnapped him, and look at the house. Can you see a house? There is no house. The house was burned to ashes because of that weapon. And now I would like to show and introduce to you Carmela and Noya, a grandmother and her little grandchild. Had a very, very sad end. The terrorists who came to their house decided that they shall be burnt alive. For many days, no one knew what happened to Carmela and Noya. We were sure they were kidnapped. We were sure there is hope. We were sure they shall come back home. But when the army got there and they did all the inspections over the houses, they found out ashes of bodies. So Grandma Carmela and grandchild Noya died together. I would like you to meet my aunt, Aunt Margaret Moses, who loves knitting and is a very, very cool lady. The terrorist that day came into her house. I was actually woken by sirens at around 6:10 when my daughter came in and said, "Mom, something is very wrong." We hear everything, but we were a bit further. So in a minute or so, the sirens went on. We had to run to shelter. When we came out, I decided to call my family in Niroz, like we always do when there is danger. I called and I found my cousin panicking. She is about 42, and she was with her two of her young daughters, and she says, "Something is wrong. I hear Arabic." And I said, "Oh, forget it. You go, stay in the safe room. You can't really hear Arabic. You will be fine." But when I closed the phone, I thought to myself, wait, this is different. And the sounds were so loud and did not stop. So I called my aunt, Aunt Margaret, here with her 3 children. And I asked her, "How are you? Are you okay there?" And she whispered back. And she said again, "I hear Arabic outside. I think they're here." And I couldn't believe what I hear. And I said, "Don't talk to me. Don't even answer me. I'm going to call Mom and Dad and tell them not to call you. You will be fine. You will be safe in the same room." Did I know? They came in and they took her, a sick lady recovering from 3 different cancers that she had. At age of 77, she was taken to the tunnels of Gaza. Cruelty cannot express what she went through, but luckily we had her back after 49 days, and here you can see me hugging her when I came to see her at the hospital. Our hearts were filled with joy, but only halfway, because the other half was crying and still is, because the rest of the family isn't back. I want you now to see who I miss so much. Look at this wonderful, joyful uncle of mine. My favorite uncle on earth. And he was taken to Gaza, and he is still in Gaza. Now, he lived in a different house. Here you can see him with his partner, Efrat Katz. We learned that Gadi tried to talk to the terrorist because he thought humans can talk to human, but they didn't know who are coming. They took him over. Later they came, they took Efrat, they took Doron, her daughter, and they took the 2 little grandchildren, 3 and 5. Efrat was murdered on the way to Gaza in front of her daughter and her grandchildren. We learned the story once they came back. So 6 members of my family were taken, 1 was murdered, 4 came back, and we're still waiting for Gadi. My beloved uncle is 80 years old, and he is held captive in Gaza. Now, Gadi is a source of love and knowledge. He has been traveling the whole world to teach people through agriculture how to overcome poverty, how to use wastewater. He has been all over South America. He was actually in charge of the agriculture there for 3 or 4 years. He's been in Arab countries. He's been everywhere we could think. He saved lives. He fought. He went everywhere around the world to save lives, but yet he is imprisoned. I would like to show you a picture of how my uncle looked like 2 months before he was kidnapped, and a picture, an image of a video released by the Islamic Jihad on December 19th. This face is not the face of the uncle I know. It was terrifying watching him like that. It's been 212 days. How is he? Is he hungry? Can he sleep? Do they torture him? Will he be okay? How will he recover? Does he know we fight for him? We fight to bring him back? And this is what I do. From October 7th, I stopped work, and I'm not the only one. So many family members did the same for all the hostages' family. And I wake up in the morning after sleepless nights, I have to say, and we fight every single minute to bring him back. And by being here, I am encouraged by the power of your caring and support. And believe me, it is invaluable as we are tired, but this is nothing of what I know the 133 kidnapped are going through. So my son is in Gaza in a special unit. Here he is with his friends and the dogs in Gaza. So whenever I am awake, I'm usually worrying for the sake of the hostages and my uncle, but you have no idea what it means to go and try to sleep, because that is the time that I'm thinking of my sons and their friends. It is an incredibly difficult challenge to worry. But again, it's nothing according to what our 133 hostages are going through. I have shared with you some of the pain, some of the images of what is really going on. But as I said, though we are filled with sorrow and worry and pain, we have to do our best to stay strong, because our people, our brothers and sisters are waiting to be saved. And this is where we have to be unified in our prayer and our support to release all hostages now. They shall not be dying in captivity. They do not deserve that death. They deserve life. We pray and we appreciate your prayer for them to come back home. Thank you very much for standing with us against evil and for joining us in the spirit of cherishing life. Thank you.
I know that this testimony has touched your heart. It has filled you with a fresh perspective that can only come from hearing from the heart, the mind, the story of those who have endured this atrocity. Eagle's Wings is committed to staying on the front lines of this battle. Sadly, October the 7th did not start on October the 7th. This battle for the existence of the state of Israel goes all the way back even before the founding of the state in May of 1948. There has been, within the hearts of radicalized Islam, a violence against the Jewish people that knows no bounds. I want to invite you to click the link and go to our Frontlines page, and you will see firsthand what Eagle's Wings is doing day by day on the front lines in Israel. We are there through our Abraham's Bread feeding centers, through our United Hatzalah outreach, through our Forest of Life program, which is working with disadvantaged youth who are being sheltered right now in the middle of the hills of Judea. You want to get involved with this effort, go right now to the Frontlines page and let me know that you're standing with us as we make a difference for Israel and the Jewish people. And if you haven't yet done so, click on the links and listen to the stories of the other survivors that brought forth this powerful testimony on Solidarity Sunday.